This video will contain spoilers for Xenoblade 2, Torn of the Golden Country, and Xenoblade 3. Okay, in most of my videos where I talk about a theory or a possibility of things, you may notice I do this technique called bringing up evidence to support my claims by either stating things the game states in direct fact, or by drawing extrapolations from things that are left to subtext. You may also notice that is entirely absent from this video, because unlike most of those, this is what I like to call a meme theory, because there is no way this was intentional. Just stating that again, this is not an actual theory. This is a shower thought I had, realized was kind of funny if I could make a video on it, had something planned for April Fool's next year already, so I'm doing it here. In a game like Xenoblade 2 that is frequently praised for its fantastic and sympathetic villains, Amalthus is definitely not one of them. So yeah, the quote-unquote good point he made is not going to be any of his actions. He was definitely not correct to try to kill everyone. I hope that goes without saying. But I do think some of his actions unintentionally sidestepped an ethical dilemma the people of Arrest had in the construction of Origin leading up to Xenoblade 3. Something I've mentioned before, but I'm basically showing on screen for the first time now because I needed to get new footage for this anyway, is that in Origin, when you're taking the elevator down to the amphitheater where you finally face off with Zed, you can see that there are core crystals suspended in the air, and because we know how core crystals work, it's heavily implied that that was the device for storing the memories and souls of the people of the two universes in order to carry them over into the rebuilt worlds. The issue with that is that Klaus, as the architect, converted core crystals from their original use of being a replacement for human brain cells, and instead allowed them to be awakened as blades, using the DNA present in there, and sort of the consciousness of the person awakening them imprinting on them in order to create a brand new type of being. You might see the issue here. We don't know how storage efficient a core crystal is, so theoretically, can it only fit one sentient being? Like, if I wanted to upload my mind into a core crystal, but it already has a blade in it, would I have to overwrite and effectively erase the blade from existence in order to do that? There are obviously very easy assumptions to make that could completely get around this. Maybe they figured out how to make more core crystals. Obviously, the ones we see in Origin are a little bit bigger than ones from Xenoblade 2, so that could very easily be a thing. And maybe it's not just literally core crystals, but a different type of computer heavily based on them. So you could easily sidestep this. But assuming that none of that stuff is true, and it is one person per one core crystal, how do you get around that dilemma? Well, Amalthus, by murdering people long before Origin was a twinkle in Tora's eye, accidentally completely avoided that entire issue ever coming up. One of the things he wanted to do as part of his plans was to disrupt the life cycle of blades and more or less cause the land crisis in Alrest by preventing them from becoming titans. In order to do that, he had Indal take control of the driver registration and the flow of core crystals and stuff like that. And whenever a core crystal came to him, he would use his master driver power somehow to cleanse it. This is basically the other way of killing a blade besides completely destroying the crystal. And as far as I can tell, the cleansing process is basically resetting the core crystal to factory settings, thereby erasing the existence of the blade within. This means that by the time of Xenoblade 2, the majority of core crystals still out in the world are complete blanks, and my guess is that common blades, because they're supposed to be weaker than rare blades, and we know blades can evolve over time between awakenings, are actually supposed to be blades awakened from blank core crystals, which means the vast majority of core crystals that you encounter throughout the game are actually completely blank ones. And only the rare blades, with the exception of Wulfric, because we see him be awoken for the first time, are the only ones that have managed to be passed around through multiple drivers. So that means that when they needed to make Origin, unless everyone decided to become a driver right after the end of Xenoblade 2, there were tons of blank core crystals lying around that they could shove people into without even having to come up against the problem of kicking the blades out in the process. So it very well may be that by trying and failing to kill everyone in one world, Amalthus accidentally paved the way to save everyone from two worlds. Great job there, buddy. I'm sure that if you manage to make it to an afterlife somehow, you are very proud of yourself, because you failed so hard, you succeeded for the good guys twice over. Till next time, when I'll try to make an actual video, this is Luxon, signing off.